Welcome to Cascade Talks.
Croeso i Cascade Talks, podcast sydd yn trafod ac yn archwilio yr ymchwil diweddaraf ac arloesi yn y maes o gofal cymdeithasol plant.
A podcast that discusses and explores the latest research and innovation in the field of children's social care.
Hello, I'm Professor Alyson Rees, and this podcast is about Maggie's Club, and we're doing it as part of the conference series on learning disabilities. So I'm going to interview two people who work for Maggie's Club, Enireth and Alex, and they're going to introduce themselves now.
Hello, I'm Enireth. Everyone calls me En. It's much easier for the children and young people to be able to say En rather than my fully blown name. And I've been organising Maggie's Club for over 15 years now, I think. And it's gone really quick. And when somebody said it's over 15 years, then I couldn't quite believe it.
My name's Alex Rees. I'm the Creative Learning Lead for UCAN Productions. I've been with UCAN since about 2009, and certainly since Maggie's Club started as well for the whole thing. I'm a music and sound technology practitioner, amongst other things. And a lot of the stuff I bring to Maggie's Club is based around music and sound.
And Maggie's Club is based in UCAN. And do you want to say a little bit about UCAN before I ask you about Maggie's Club itself?
Yeah, UCAN was formed by Jane and Bernie. Oh, gosh, now you're asking me, it's got to be over 20 years ago. And it stands for Unique Creative Arts Network. And it all started with Jane and Bernie going on a trip to Sierra Leone, and where they met these wonderful people, and they met a group of children and young people who had lost their vision due to the rebels and the Sierra Leone war. And they'd been orphaned, and there was a school set up for them, and they had the most amazing choir. So they came over to Wales, and we did a tour. They sang everywhere for us, all over Cardiff, and we raised money for them to go back with them to Sierra Leone. And then they suddenly thought, we've got nothing like this in Wales for, children and young people with vision and sight loss. So they set up UCAN, and it's just grown and grown over the years. It's not just children and young people with blindness, visual impairments now. It's everybody. We have encompassed, children with learning disabilities, autistic, Down syndrome, hearing impairments, all other associated disabilities. We don't turn away anybody.
Okay, lovely. That's great, Ed. And can you tell us a little bit more about Maggie's Club itself? Who's it for?
Yeah, the children and young people mainly come from referrals from the School of Optometry, because Dr. Maggie Woodhouse, OBE, that's where we've got the name. That's why we call it Maggie's Club, because all the children that come to see her call her Maggie. She discovered that all children with Down syndrome all have a visual impairment. And she was seeing a lot of children and young people, and she thought there's nothing for these children. There's not a group or an activity or something to bring them all together. And a lot of them were very isolated, excluded from various activities in school and out of school clubs because of their disabilities. So Jane and I came up with, why can't we run a workshop for all of Maggie's patients? They're our audience, if you like. That's who we're here for. So we did a little mailer over 15 years ago to all of Maggie's patients, saying that we were going to set up Maggie's Club, and it was going to be fun workshops where they could come to the School of Optometry, Cardiff University, who have kindly been hosting all of our clubs over the years. And we're going to do sound workshop, which Alex hosts, and tactile arts, drama, games, music, and circus skills. And we do warm-up exercises And it was an opportunity for them to meet other people, make friends. And we've got fantastic volunteers that come and join us. And a lot of them are students at the School of Optometry, and they're training to be optometrists. So they're meeting their future audience, if you like, their future patients. So it's a good learning skill for them to know, these are the young people you're going to be working with. And a lot of the volunteers, they didn't have very good skills with children before joining Maggie's Club. And this has helped them improve their skills and knowing what challenges the children as well as the families face in day-to-day lives. So it's great for the volunteers, it's great for the children, it's also great for the mums and dads and the carers that come, because they get to sit down, see their children enjoying themselves, knowing they're looked after with the volunteers and the trainers and the staff. And they also get to talk to other parents and carers and exchange stories. And it's like a little support group for them as well.
So all of the young people that have come, do they all have Down syndrome?
The majority do, but as I mentioned earlier, we have all kinds of associated disabilities. We don't turn away anybody who wants to join. All we ask for them to do is do a parental consent form so that we've got a bit of details. We know a bit about their condition, any special requirements they may need. It just helps us be more equipped and to know, who's coming and what they will require and any additional support they may need.
Great. And how often does it meet?
We do one Saturday a month at the School of Optometry on Maindy Road on a Saturday from 2 until about 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish, depending on how many turn up. We never know quite how many turn up. Sometimes there's 10, sometimes there's 30, but we always have a great time. We tend to not do one during August because everyone's on holiday, but we do one every Saturday a month, and we have a Christmas party in December, which is the highlight of the year.
And what's your role, and why do you enjoy being involved in?
Well, I love the children. I love the young people. They're such characters, and a lot of them, having been doing it now for 13 years, they've grown up with me. I'm a part of their lives now. And it's so wonderful to see them develop and grow in confidence over the years and grow into these amazing young people. When you met them first, they'd be screaming their heads off, didn't want to come in, didn't want to mix with anybody. They'd be crying because it was all new, and they were lacking in confidence. And to see them running through the door, excited to come in and to say hello to their friends, and the volunteers were their friends as well. And just to be a place where they felt at ease and they could be who they wanted to be, learn new skills, and just have a great time. So I've loved doing that. And I just organise it. I book the space, and then we book the trainers, and then I communicate them with the parents and the carers of all the dates and what's happening. And then I keep my registration list and I badge everybody when they come in so that everybody's got a name badge, and I don't forget anybody's names, especially when you've got 30 kids and about 60 adults. You do struggle sometimes to remember everybody's names. So that's my system, and it works.
Great, that's fantastic. Diolch yn fawr. So moving over to Alex, how long have you been involved with Maggie's Club, Alex?
Right from the start. I vaguely remember the first session, which I remember being a lot longer, and we sort of fine-tuned how we do Maggie's Club, I think, off the back of that first session. And over the years, obviously, we've figured out the best way to run it. But yeah, right from the start, that very first session.
And can you just tell me something about your background? What kind of skills you bring to the group?
Sure. So my main kind of qualification, I suppose, is in music and sound technology. So I brought to UCAN when I first joined as a practitioner a lot of that involving recording the voice, different ways of making music, editing, and just a lot of technology, really, because it seemed fitting, I think, for UCAN to bring creative methods of engaging with sound and music and technology and all of that, and sort of ways into storytelling and sort of audio drama and all that kind of thing. A lot of the sound-based stuff was a very good fit. So over the years, I've figured out different creative ways of bringing that into classrooms and other creative environments and ways of engaging kids with that stuff. So yeah, a lot of sound and a lot of music, a lot of microphones.
Lovely. And you said you've sort of honed the group since its start. What goes on in the group? What might someone expect if they were going to come along?
Well, we've kind of arrived at a little bit of a formula. I mean, it's always different and always the same in many ways, Maggie's Club, because a lot of the kids do need that familiar pattern, I think, to the sequence of events, and it helps everyone just know where we are. But of course, within that, we're always almost meeting the kids for the first time in some ways in that, what do they need today? Where are they at today? What are we going to do today? So the sequence of Maggie's Club is a sort of relaxed welcome as people arrive, often, a little bit late, which is fine. And everyone's wandering around the kind of foyer space of the optometry building, just saying hello and playing with hula hoops and various other things, and just, arriving in the space and seeing all their friends and seeing us. And when we feel like that magic moment arrives, we summon them into a big kind of circle, big drama circle, if you like, and parents and volunteers and kids all kind of stand together. We do encourage the parents to sit back where possible. And actually, most of the time they do now. It's always nice if they can just let the kids get on with it, and we'll look after them. So there's a kind of set of games we play there, drama games and sort of hello, getting to know you games, physical games, a lot of movement, a lot of taking the shape of certain things in, for example, the game Giant's House. We have to physically mock up different things that you might find in a giant's house. Loads of fun there. And then when the activity part of it starts, they kind of split up, and they can come and do music and sound in the separate lecture theatre with me, or stick around to do circus skills or do the tactile art, and really just float around to whatever they feel like doing. And there's no pressure. Of course, they can just follow their own, how they're feeling, and do whatever they want to do. And then at the end, when it's time, very often we'll get out Paddy's huge parachute. He's the circus skills practitioner. Get back out in the foyer and do some exercises around that, which is always fun. We're all stood in a huge circle, kind of wafting this giant parachute up and down, and there's some games around that. But it's all so relaxed and so kind of welcoming and easy, and there's a lot of humour. So, but that is just basically the pattern, and they've got very used to that, and it always goes down well.
Lovely. And what do you think? I mean, I think you've suggested that, but what do you think young people get out of the group, Alex?
Sure, I think there's a few things. One of them is obviously a safe space. It's very important to have that vibe where there's no judgment, there's only welcome and friendliness and support and familiar faces, which they'll get to know over time. But I think, the safe space is such a huge part of it, especially for a newcomer. It's up to us to always kind of home in on anyone who's new, just really kind of stick with them and make sure that they are supported and can start to engage to whatever degree they feel comfortable with. Perhaps just give them a little gentle push when possible to help them, get involved in something. Yeah, it's safe, it's social, it's just incredibly friendly and supportive. And then I think the key for me in all of this really is some form of creativity across UCAN, really, across a lot of the work that I've done for UCAN and for other people beyond, is about creativity and being able to feel creative and get involved with something creative, whatever that might look like. So for some of these kids, even just chatting on a microphone in my room and hearing their voices coming back to them, or being affected to sound different, sound squeaky or funny or echoey in some way, or maybe to record impressions of animals on the microphone. That's always been a favorite. And you do an impression of a cow, a lion. It's actually a form of creativity to have fun with your voice and to use your voice and to record your voice. This is something I've learned, a long time ago now. And certainly for me, when they become more confident and feeling playful around doing that, they will talk more, they will give you more, they'll express themselves more, and they'll start to have fun and laugh. But it's a creative thing, and I think there's definitely a therapeutic value in creativity. And certain kids as well, when you give them the microphone, they'll talk more than they normally do. Some won't want to give it back on occasion, but you get something out of them that you might not get in just kind of everyday life. And I think that's all about creativity. And same goes for the circus skills and everything. It's a way of expressing yourself. It's a way of playing, being creative, and tactile art, of course, as well. But I think it's the key to everything UCAN does, really, is some form of creativity.
And what do young people say to you about the group?
What do they say? It's not so much what they say, it's what they do, is when they sort of just come barging in because they want to do it and sit down and stuff. Well, they'll say that was fun, can we do the sound? I'm talking from my own point of view, I suppose. To be honest, in that respect, they speak with their feet in terms of coming in to do it. That's that. They express themselves with their facial expressions, and you can see that they can't wait to get into it.
Because we had one little boy, I'll call him Child A, who joined, and he hardly spoke at all at home. And then Alex gave him the microphone, and I think one day you played a helicopter noise. Do you remember, Alex? And his face just lit up, and he knew all the names of the different helicopter noises. We just, we couldn't believe how he was into helicopters. And then he started just reeling off all these names of the helicopters. Well, his parents nearly fell over. They couldn't believe it. I think that there is always a key to unlock every child, and every child has a key, and that's what we've discovered, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, it's a very good point, and it's finding the key for each kid, because there is no one size fits all, of course. I mean, I would say kind of there's never one size fits all in any of education, really, but especially with these kids, you have to go on a bit of a hunt for the secret ingredient, or the connection that's going to be made, that's going to kind of bring them online in any particular activity. One of the other things I do is I have a sort of sampler, which is a piece of technology where you press buttons, and to cut a long story short, it triggers all sorts of sound effects, which can be helicopters or footsteps, animal sounds, slamming doors, wedding bells, anything you like gets loaded onto these buttons. And the other thing you can do is you can record your voice. So it's stored on one of the buttons. So you can record your voice and then press your button, and you hear whatever you've just done played back. You can change the pitch so it sounds squeaky or deep or backwards and all that kind of thing. So again, creative use of sound. But there's something about, I think for so many kids, hearing their voice being played back to them, coming through speakers, that's very stimulating. And I think what I've figured out is that it correlates with whenever we hear our own voices played back from a recording, most people's reaction is, oh my goodness, is that me? And we have a negative view of it a lot of the time, don't we? We don't like our own voices. And it's because we hear our voices differently in our heads to how other people hear it traveling through the air. So when the kids kind of get wind of this and they suddenly think, that's me, that is, like, I'm sort of controlling this. There's something going on. And a lot of them, instead of not liking their own voice, they love it. They'll dive in and start to play with it. So it's almost like they're using their voices as a creative tool, or a creative activity. So yeah, the sounds is an amazing way into that, because they want to create things with their voice. So in terms of sort of confidence communication tool, especially for these kids, I think it's incredibly powerful. But it has to be a playful thing. It has to be funny. It has to be creative, because then they will engage.
Lovely. And what have the parents said about the group?
Yeah, I've got a couple of quick quotes here which do sum it up. Obviously, the names have been redacted. First one, M was super excited that there was a group that he could finally be part of. He was shy to start off with, but that did not last long. All the staff and children were very welcoming. It's a place where M can be himself with no judgment. His confidence is improving so much, and it's all down to UCAN. Next one, UCAN sessions and the team that run them have been so essential for D, as she gets to experience team activities in a really fun social setting. D has gained so much from working with volunteers and understands it's a safe space where she can engage and be supported. And finally, the fact that W is able to listen to music, play around with music, and especially when he's allowed to use the microphone, he just loves that he can hear himself talking. and he feeds on what other people are finding funny. And it's just a safe environment with people he can feel comfortable with. I think those quotes probably sum it up better than even me and Anne have, really.
Of course. Well, thank you both very, very much for giving your time and telling us about Maggie's Club. So if somebody's listening to this and would like their child to come along, perhaps a child who has Down syndrome, is there someone they should contact?
Yeah, it's probably me in the first instance. If they drop me an email, or, there's also an info@ucanproductions.org email that'll find its way to me as well. And my email is Enireth, ENIRETH @ucanproductions.org. Or if you go on the website, there's a tab saying Get Involved. If they click on there, that's how they would, get involved, obviously. And then I would get in touch with them and do an introduction and see if they would like to join us. And, we don't exclude anybody, and it doesn't matter where you live, but obviously the workshops for Maggie's Club are based in Cardiff University on Maindy Road. So if you are in North Wales, it is a bit of a trek. I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. We can put the details on our website, on the ExChange website as well. So really appreciate it. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you for listening to Cascade Talks.
Diolch am wrando ar Cascade Talks. Hoffwn ddweud diolch i Ymchwil Iechyd a Gofal Cymru ac i Lywodraeth Cymru am ei cefnogaeth cyllid.
We'd like to thank Health and Care Research Wales and the Welsh Assembly Government for their funding support. ExChange brings together leading researchers with practitioners and service users to share expertise, research evidence, and care experiences. To sign up for free events and access resources, visit exchangewales.org. You can also follow us on Twitter @ExChangeWales.